I had a weird feeling the moment I walked into the restaurant and the waiter asked if I still needed a table for five. I smiled and said yes, even though deep down I knew I shouldn't have. I grew up believing that family always shows up, especially when it really matters. Yet there I was, tucked into a corner booth by the window, nervously twisting a napkin and checking my phone like clockwork. Every 10 seconds, like some nervous teenager on a first date. I even chuckled to myself, trying to act like it was no big deal. They're just running late, I told myself. Muttering under my breath, I ordered a drink I didn't even want. My name's Tyler, I'm 33 years old, and after nearly 10 years of grinding it out at the same mid-sized company, I finally landed the promotion I'd been chasing forever. Senior Project Director. It wasn't just a better job title. It was the recognition I'd been dying for. It was proof that all those late nights at the office, while my friends were out living their lives, weren't for nothing. It was every weekend I skipped out on a beer to finish another damn report. It meant stability. It meant forward motion. And most of all, it meant this one thing was truly mine. And I wanted to celebrate it with the people who always claimed they were in my corner. My mom, my brother Logan, my cousin Vanessa, and Uncle Dean. That was the core group. The same folks who got teary-eyed last Christmas, saying how proud they were of me. These were the people who cried when I bought my mom a reliable car. The ones who cheered when I stepped in and covered the mortgage after Dad died. The same ones who told me over and over that I was the glue keeping the family together. 2 hours slipped by. No calls, no messages. The only thing lighting up my screen was a notification from my banking app, tracking the slow, painful climb of my restaurant bill. I finally told the waiter to bring out the entrees. I was too embarrassed to just leave, too stubborn to admit to myself that no one was coming. And then, right as I took the first bite of steak, pretending I wasn't sitting there totally alone, my phone buzzed again. Family night out, celebrating the real success story. That was the caption. Attached was a picture, all smiles, raised wine glasses, and beachside vibes. There was my mom, my brother, Vanessa, Uncle Dean, all dressed up, all clearly having a great time. Logan stood front and center, holding a key fob in one hand, flashing this ridiculous grin with the other. And behind him, a shiny new jet ski hitched to a trailer. The caption underneath? He earned this. So proud of you, bro. I stared at that photo like it might suddenly change. 10 minutes passed. No one mentioned me. No apologies. Not even a half-hearted, we'll make it up to you. Just a full-blown celebration. Not for my years of effort, but for Logan's latest impulse buy. Then I saw the message from Mom, sent exactly an hour before the post. You're not exactly a priority right now. We'll catch up soon. Enjoy your dinner. I couldn't tell what hit harder, the coldness of her words or how rehearsed they sounded, like she'd been waiting for just the right moment to finally say it out loud. I paid the $1,940 bill and left a 25% tip because the staff had been kind enough to keep pretending I wasn't sitting there completely alone. Then I drove home in silence. When I got inside, I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I just sat at the edge of my bed, phone in hand, flipping through memory after memory like some quiet, painful slideshow. Every grocery tab I picked up, every "I'll pay you back next week" that never came, every emergency call that ended with me transferring money just until things settled down. Every time Mom told me Logan was still figuring things out, every lie I fed myself that I wasn't being taken advantage of. I walked into my home office, pulled up the shared mortgage account I'd been quietly paying into for 3 years, and stared at the breakdown. $1,830 a month. Auto-paid from my salary on the 10th of every month. I opened a new tab, clicked on the bank's contact page, and canceled it. Just like that. Then I grabbed a sticky note, scribbled down 5 words, drove to the house I hadn't set foot in since Easter, and slapped the note on the front door. Let him pay it now. I didn't stick around to see if they were home. I didn't wait for anyone to open the door. I just got back in the car, silenced my phone, and drove off. That night, I went to bed still in my clothes, didn't brush my teeth, didn't even care. The last thing I remember was the sound of my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. By morning, I had 81 missed calls. Most were from Mom, A bunch from Logan, one from Uncle Dean, 3 texts from Vanessa. Call me now. Are you serious? We need to talk. I didn't respond to a single one. I just slowly scrolled through the missed calls, staring at the timestamps like I was trying to piece together a puzzle. A puzzle that maybe, just maybe, would turn into an apology that still hadn't come. Then I noticed the voicemail icon. I paused. Something about hearing their voices felt heavier than just reading their messages. Like once I pressed play, there'd be no going back. It would all become real. But in the end, curiosity got the better of me. I hit play on the voicemail, and the moment I heard what came next, I gripped the edge of my nightstand so tightly my knuckles went pale. It was my mom's voice, but not the one I grew up with. Not the soothing sing-song tone she used while tucking me in at night. Not the proud, glowing voice that beamed when I made honor roll. This voice was sharp, shrill, panicked. "Tyler, what did you do?" "The mortgage bounced," she said, practically breathless. "I got a call from the bank this morning. They said the payment didn't go through." There was confusion in her tone, like I'd done something unthinkable. "Why would you do that without telling us? You knew we were relying on you. Your brother," her voice cracked a little, "he's finally doing well, and you're doing this out of spite." Then, as if she were auditioning for a dramatic monologue, she dropped her tone to a shaky, whispering sob. "This isn't how family treats each other." That line stuck with me. This isn't how family treats each other. I played it again, then again. Each time the irony cut a little deeper. Next came Logan's voice. "Bro, this is seriously messed up," he said. "Mom's losing it. We were gonna handle it, man. We just needed a bit more time." More time. 3 full years of automatic payments. But apparently I was supposed to be even more patient. "You didn't have to just pull the plug like that," he added. "Are you trying to make us lose the house?" As if I'd thrown a tantrum instead of finally setting a boundary. Then Vanessa chimed in with voicemail number 3. She didn't even bother with pleasantries. "Wow, so now you're punishing everyone? Over what? A dinner?" she scoffed. "Grow up, Tyler. You act like you're the only one in this family who ever sacrifices anything." She wasn't done. "Logan's been hustling too. He finally caught a break, and we wanted to celebrate him. Sorry your little promotion didn't get the spotlight, but did you really have to blow everything up?" Your little promotion. That line made me laugh. A short, bitter laugh with no real humor in it. I looked around my apartment. No framed family photos, no shared memories or vacation souvenirs. Just a clean, quiet space I'd built on my own. It wasn't loneliness I felt. It was something clearer. It was understanding. The pattern had always been there, but I'd finally stopped looking away. Logan, he was always the center of attention. "He's just figuring things out," was the family mantra. It explained everything. It excused 2 dropped-out college programs, a wrecked car, 3 failed businesses, none of which he ever repaid loans for. But still, he was the dreamer, the one full of promise. Me, I was the backup plan, the fallback, the steady one no one really saw. No celebration when I earned my degree early. No party when I paid off Mom's car. No fanfare when I negotiated with the bank to keep the house after Dad passed. But in public, I was the good son. That was the image they clung to. The dependable background character who never made noise, never asked for anything, just quietly held everything together behind the scenes. Until I stopped. That afternoon, I finally picked up one of the calls. It was Uncle Dean. He'd always been the rational one. Stayed quiet unless the situation hit boiling point. If anyone deserved a conversation, it was him. "Tyler," he said, his voice low and strained, "you've got to talk to your mother." "Why?" I asked, calm but direct. "So she can guilt-trip me into paying up again?" He let out a heavy sigh. "She's a mess. Says she didn't realize how left out you felt." I let out a dry laugh. "She didn't know? You mean she forgot she texted me during dinner to say I wasn't a priority?" Ray didn't answer, just silence. I let it hang for a second. Then I said, "They've got 30 days. That's how long before the bank posts a final notice. She's terrified they'll lose the house," he said quietly. I shrugged. Not that he could see it. Maybe Logan can sell the jet ski. Ray actually laughed. A short, surprised laugh, like it caught even him off guard. Then he cleared his throat. You're serious, aren't you? For the first time in a long time, I said. He didn't argue. Deep down, I think he got it. Maybe he'd noticed the imbalance over the years, too. Maybe he'd once been me, just a few miles further down the same road. That night, Mom finally sent a long message. She called the whole thing a misunderstanding, said the dinner wasn't supposed to be some kind of competition, tried to smooth it over with a quiet, "I'm proud of you," buried somewhere deep in paragraph 5. But then she closed with this: "Don't let one mistake ruin everything we've built as a family." One mistake. That's when it hit me. We weren't building the same thing. I'd been building something based on trust, on responsibility, on real structure. They'd been building something else entirely, something flimsy and convenient, a system that only worked as long as I kept my mouth shut and played my part. The second I pulled back, it started to crumble. The next morning, I logged into the shared account. No payments, no attempts, no sign of effort. They were waiting me out, hoping I'd cave, that I'd be the bigger person. That was always my role in their script. I didn't flinch. I closed the account for good. That afternoon, Vanessa showed up at my apartment, uninvited. She banged on the door, hard, and the second I opened it, she pushed her way past me like she owned the place. "We need to talk," she said, arms crossed, eyes locked on me. I stayed by the doorway. "About what?" "This little tantrum you're throwing." I stared at her. "You think this is about a tantrum?" "You're hurting Mom," she snapped. I looked her dead in the eye. She texted me in the middle of dinner to say I wasn't a priority, and now you want to talk about me hurting her? All while they were busy celebrating Logan, the same guy who hasn't picked up a check in years. "He bought a jet ski," she snapped. "He finally did something for himself. That's not a crime." "No," I said slowly, carefully, "but pretending like that's some massive milestone while brushing off everything I've done for this family, that's the real problem." Her eyes narrowed, sharp, angry. "You always act like you're the victim." I shook my head. I'm just done being the one who gets played." She scoffed like I was being dramatic. "They're your family." "They were," I said quietly. "Now they're just people I used to pay for." And that's when the shouting started outside. Logan pacing back and forth near Mom's car in the parking lot. I could see him through the window, running his hands through his hair, yelling into his phone. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I didn't need to. I already knew the script by heart, and this time I didn't move. I wasn't going to be the one rushing out to smooth things over. Not anymore. Vanessa lingered for a while, just stood there watching me, like she was searching for a glimpse of the old me, the one who'd be apologizing by now. Maybe even offering to cover half the payment, just to keep the peace. But I stood still, arms folded, saying nothing. Eventually, she seemed to understand I wasn't bluffing. She turned and walked out without a single word. No slamming door, no final jab. Just silence. It was a strange kind of calm after she left. Not peace exactly, but that eerie stillness you get after a long storm, where everything's so quiet, you can't tell if it's really over or just taking a breath before the next wave. I made some coffee, sat out on the balcony, watched the same neighbors walk the same dogs along the same paths. But something inside me had shifted. My world felt different now. That afternoon, I got a text from my old college roommate, Zach, one of the few people who'd ever seen glimpses of how my family really worked, even if he never saw the whole picture. "Dude, you all right?" he wrote. "Your mom just called my mom, said you're having some kind of breakdown." I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "Nah, just finally woke up." He didn't press, just sent back a thumbs up emoji and "proud of you, man." And honestly, that hit harder than I expected. Around 6 that evening, my phone lit up again. A FaceTime call from Mom. I let it ring out. A few minutes later, a long block of text rolled in. She started sweet, that soft, guilt-laced tone she used when she wanted something. "Tyler, sweetheart, please don't let this get worse. I know things didn't go how you wanted, but we really were happy for Logan. We didn't mean to outshine your big day. Can we talk? Please? I'll cook your favorite. Lasagna night. Just us. We can fix this. Then, like she flipped a switch, the message turned. But canceling the mortgage? That was reckless. You put us all at risk. You had no right to make a decision like that on your own, especially when you were doing it voluntarily. Voluntarily. That word hit me like a slap, as if I'd just casually handed over $65,000 across 3 years like I'd dropped a few coins between couch cushions. There was no apology, no recognition of what I'd sacrificed, just expectation. And it reminded me, painfully, as of last Christmas. When Logan gave Mom a designer handbag, all smiles, acting generous, and used my credit card to buy it without asking. It's just easier this way, he'd said, laughing like it was some inside joke. And Mom? She scolded me, not for him using my money, but for making a scene when I asked him to return it. It's family, she whispered, patting my shoulder. You always help. That's just who you are. But maybe it didn't have to be. Later that night, I was scrolling through old emails when a new one came in. Subject line, notice of payment failure, final warning. I clicked it. The official 15-day notice. The mortgage was officially on the brink of default. I could practically feel the panic rippling across town. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a folder buried deep in my files, an old spreadsheet I hadn't touched in months. Every bank transfer, every utility bill, every short-term loan that was never paid back. It was all there, color-coded by name. 10 full pages, more than $82,000 over the past 5 years. I stared at the number for a long time, then opened a blank document and titled it, What I Owe Myself, and I started writing. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was personal, emotional, for every time I was talked over at the dinner table. For every birthday I was told, we'll make it up to you next year. For every celebration I funded and wasn't even invited to. I hadn't realized how heavy it all was until I started putting it down. And finally, let it go. Later that night, a video message came in from Logan. He looked like a wreck, hair messy, face flushed. He was trying to hold it together, but his voice gave him away. Man, what are you doing? He said, trying to sound calm. You're punishing all of us over one dinner? Seriously, grow up. He took a breath. Yeah, we messed up. But this? His voice cracked. You've got Mom crying every hour. Vanessa won't stop texting me. Now the bank's calling. He looked off to the side for a second, then glanced back at the camera. Just turn the payments back on. Please. We'll talk after. That's what they'd said. But I didn't respond. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't about talking. They didn't want a conversation. They wanted a reset, a quiet return to the old dynamic. Patched the leak without ever finding the hole. 3 days slipped by. I stuck to a routine, went to work like usual, started jogging again, even made real meals for myself. Not frozen, not takeout, actual food. And honestly, it was almost funny how much space opened up in my life. I didn't have to check on Logan's car insurance. Didn't have to make sure Mom's electric bill cleared. No more calendar reminders for Vanessa's rent. And every morning I watched the family group chat spin further into chaos. Vanessa renamed it more than once. First emergency, Tyler please respond, then mortgage crisis, and finally family unity chat. I muted the whole thread, but I opened it once, just once, to read a single message from Uncle Dean. I warned them this would happen. You were never weak, just too generous. I saved that one, because it was the first time someone in the family actually said what I'd known all along. The real shift came on the 7th day. Mom showed up at my door, but she didn't come solo. Logan was with her and parked right outside my building, that damn jet ski still on the trailer, like some absurd peace offering wrapped in idiocy. She knocked once, then again. Tyler, sweetheart, she called out. Please, just let us explain. I didn't move. I stood quietly watching through the peephole. Logan was pacing like a caged animal, waving some kind of paper in his hand. From the angle, probably a bank notice. Mom stepped back and looked directly at the door. I know you're in there, she said, her voice softer now. You've made your point, okay? We get it. You're angry. But don't throw away your family over one mistake. Another one mistake. That's when I finally saw it clearly. She wasn't here to reconnect. She wasn't here for me. She was here to stop the financial fallout, not the emotional damage, not the years of being overlooked and overused, just the mortgage. I never opened the door. I stayed behind the peephole until she gave up, until Logan climbed back into his spotless black truck and drove off, jet ski in tow, a $9,000 apology he probably didn't even insure. The next day was payday. For the first time in years, my account didn't show a huge deduction. No mortgage drain, no ghost payments for a house I didn't live in, and somehow my paycheck felt heavier, like it actually meant something, like it was mine again. I stared at the balance, trying to remember the last time I looked at my own money and smiled. But the quiet didn't last long. By noon, my phone rang. The bank's collections department. Mom's house was officially 2 payments behind, and because of the structure of the mortgage, the default process had already kicked in. I wasn't legally tied to it anymore. I'd had my name removed years ago, after enough temporary help turned into a permanent trap. But that didn't stop them from calling. "I'm not the responsible party," I said calmly. "You'll need to contact the homeowner." There was a pause. Then the rep said something I'll never forget. "She said you'd handle it, said you always do." That's when it all clicked. Mom hadn't even called the bank. She hadn't told them I'd stop paying. She just waited, expected, assumed the safety net she'd leaned on for years wouldn't dare walk away, until it did. That evening, I heard another knock at the door, but this time it was just Mom. No Logan, no trailer. Just her and a canvas tote hanging from her shoulder. "Tyler," she said quietly when I opened the door, "please, we need to talk." I didn't speak. I simply stepped aside. She walked in slowly, almost cautiously, like she was stepping into someone else's life. Her eyes scanned the room, searching maybe for something familiar, a framed photo, a memento, anything that said she still belonged here. There was nothing. I gestured toward a chair, but she didn't sit. She wandered over to the window, glanced outside, and then turned to face me. "We're going to lose the house," she said. I nodded. "I figured." "You can stop this," she whispered. "You can call the bank and—" "No," I cut in. Calm, firm, final. She blinked, surprised. "What?" I said no. "I'm not calling the bank. I'm not making another payment. I'm done." Her jaw tightened. "This isn't just about the money, Tyler. This is about family." I almost laughed. "Mom, on the night I got promoted, the night I was finally ready to share something of my own, you texted me and said I wasn't a priority. Then you threw a party for Logan because he bought a jet ski." I looked her in the eye. "You called that family. I call it a joke." She flinched, barely. "It wasn't supposed to hurt you." "But it did," I said. "And you didn't care. Not until the payments stopped." Silence settled like dust between us. She finally lowered herself into the chair, her movements slow, like she was sinking under the weight of everything she hadn't wanted to face. "I didn't realize how much you were covering," she murmured. "That's the problem," I replied. "You never wanted to know." She shook her head, barely audible now. "Logan's not like you. He needs more help." "No, Mom," I said, voice steady. "He needs consequences." She looked up, her eyes watery. "He's your brother." "And I'm your son." She looked at me and really looked. And for the first time in years, there was nothing behind her eyes. No defense, no speech, no guilt-laced comeback, just silence. Just the raw weight of the truth between us, echoing in the quiet. "I didn't want to believe it," she finally said, "that you'd actually leave us like this." "I didn't leave," I said gently but firmly. "I just stopped letting myself be used." She swallowed hard, like the words didn't go down easy. "What are we supposed to do now?" I met her gaze. "You figure it out," I said. "The way I had to. The way adults do." She blinked, looked away, and in that moment I didn't see her as the mother who raised me. I saw her as a person, flawed, overwhelmed, and completely unprepared to face the reality she helped create. When she stood to leave, there was no hug, no tears, no shouting, just quiet acceptance. She grabbed her bag, paused at the door. Is this really the end? She asked. I thought about it, about all the birthdays I spent alone, about the holidays I paid for, the tuition I covered, the medical bills I absorbed, about all the times I made space for everyone else, while no one ever made room for me. It's the end of me pretending this was love, I said. She nodded slowly. No argument, no last attempt. Just opened the door and walked out. And that should have been it. But it wasn't, because 10 days later, Logan showed up, not at my place, at my job. I was in the middle of a meeting when my phone buzzed with a message from the receptionist. There's a man in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent. My stomach sank. Logan. I stepped out and headed downstairs. There he was, lounging in a chair like he owned the place. Sunglasses on indoors, tapping his foot like some washed-up celebrity trying to be recognized. When he saw me, he stood. Hey, we need to talk. I didn't move. Here, yeah. Well, you've been dodging everyone, so I figured I'd come to you. I led him outside. We stopped beneath a tree near the parking lot. He didn't waste time. We lost the house. I stayed silent. They gave Mom 30 days to get out. Vanessa's trying to help, but she can't do much. Uncle Dean's pissed. Says we should have seen this coming. I nodded once. Why'd you do it, man? He asked. You got your little promotion. You were fine. You mean financially? He shrugged. Yeah. And that meant I was supposed to carry everyone else. He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I bought that jet ski because, for once, I just wanted to do something for me, he muttered. And I stopped paying the mortgage, said, because for once, so did I. His face twitched. Something behind his eyes flickered. A realization, small but real, creeping through the ego. Mom's gonna stay with Vanessa, he said eventually. I'll probably crash at Uncle Dean's. Good, I replied. He looked down at the gravel, kicking at it lightly. I guess I always figured you'd just keep handling it. I know, I said. He glanced back up at me. So that's it? You're just out? Not out, I said. Free. He narrowed his eyes. You think you're better than us? No, I said. Just better without you. That stung, I could tell. But he didn't argue. He just turned, walked back to his car, and drove off. That night I opened my phone, scrolled through the family group chat one final time, read every desperate message, every guilt trip, every late plea I'd ignored. Then I deleted it. A week later I moved to a new apartment, bought the desk I'd been eyeing for years, booked myself a solo vacation. I even changed my number. The money I used to bleed out for them, I put it in a high-yield savings account. The time I used to spend worrying, I spent hiking, reading, sleeping in, living. And the guilt? Gone. Because sometimes the cruelest and kindest thing you can do to someone who's grown used to leaning on you is to finally stand up and walk away. For good.